This is your lecture on gaining self-awareness. This week you're going to be learning about how this important 21st century skill can impact your success academically, personally, and professionally. I hope by now you have had a chance to watch the short video on our homepage presented by psychologist Tasha Ulrich, explaining how self-awareness is what she calls a meta skill. So as we move forward through this lecture, I want you to think about how you reflect on your thinking and how you currently perceive your self-awareness. It's important to think about not only how you are self-aware, but how others might perceive you as well. So let's move forward. So first slide is really going to ask the question of why it's important to become self-aware. So there are several things listed here. So number one is to improve performance. And when we say performance, is basically relating to the different aspects of your life. Like I mentioned, your academics, your personal life, and your professional life. It is also important to become self-aware to learn how to manage yourself and your thoughts and behaviors. To understand differences between you and others, which is really important, especially as you interact with many different people and personalities. To understand why others react to you the way that they do. To develop and improve your interpersonal communication skills. To set appropriate goals and to choose appropriate careers. So when you look at these different reasons, really they encompass a lot of what we do in every aspect of our lives. So becoming really attuned and attentive to your behaviors and your thoughts influences the way that you approach your academic and personal success. So just think about the people that you will one day meet or the people that you have already met at work, at school, or anywhere or in your personal life. And think about how this is going to influence the way that you approach things. So how is it that we become self-aware? So being self-aware is not as easy or straightforward as it may sound, because it can require us to take a step back, or even more than one step back, and really think about our history and our experiences. It could even go back as far as your childhood and the things that you were exposed to or what people tell you. So knowing your preconceptions and how those were formed is important in becoming self-aware. Knowing your motivation and your needs. What is it that drives you? What is it that's necessary for you to keep going? Know your responses. And then also, more importantly, getting feedback is important. The way that we present ourselves, the way that we communicate could be intended in a certain way, and we present ourselves a certain way, but it is not always received that way or perceived that way. So getting feedback from friends and family can be very helpful, from your friends, your peers. Getting feedback from yourself is also important. And when you get feedback, you don't want to think about it as being judged, but rather think about it as constructive criticism in which you can use as a learning experience. In this next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about a concept called the Johari window. And this was developed by two psychologists named Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. And in this analogy basically is a window in which there are different parts of yourself and your awareness of yourself and how others are aware of you as well. So the Johari window is composed of 4 regions or 4 quadrants. And so the first window pane represents an open area, which we call the open self. The open self is information that you and others know. The second quadrant is your blind self, or the blind spot. So the blind self is information that others know about you, but you don't know about yourself yet. Next is the hidden self, or the hidden area. The hidden self is what others don't know about you, but you do. So this can also be your secrets. These are things that you don't share and you keep to yourself. And then lastly is the unknown self. The unknown self is information that you and others are unaware of. So this might be things that you haven't learned yet, things that you haven't discovered about yourself. So in this slide, it shows an example of how the window can look in different situations. So think of the window as having sliding panes, which opens or close based on the type of situation that you're in. And then and how you want to communicate things about yourself based on that situation. So this example is for a woman named Lisa who just recently got a new job. So in this situation, she is still feeling out the environment, probably hasn't interacted much with her new coworkers. So Lisa's window can look a little something like this. So her coworkers know little about her, so her open area is really smaller at this point. And the hidden area or the unknown windows will be larger. So since the others don't know much about Lisa, really, she probably hasn't shared that much yet. So both her open area and her blind spot will be a little bit smaller. And the unknown is really the largest, because when you're facing a new situation or you're being put in a new environment, there's a lot of uncertainty, and that does cause some anxiety when we're experiencing the unknown. She's still feeling it out, probably getting used to everything. So that pain is a little larger at the moment, that window pane. The hidden area is also a little larger because she's probably not sharing a lot yet with her coworkers. So just think about how your window can change depending on the situation. Maybe think about where your window is at the moment, especially, in the times that we're in right now. So I hope this is helpful in just kind of giving a little bit of a visual of how how we keep what we know about ourselves and what others know about us, either hidden or open, and when you would adjust that, at which times you would adjust that. Another concept that affects our self-awareness is what we call our life script. So you want to think about the way that you approach things and how that's based on your thought patterns and your emotional patterns. And your thought patterns and emotional patterns are really coming from some of the experiences that you might have had. So this here is a visual showing how our emotional patterns, thought patterns, and our behaviors are really influenced by our core beliefs. And so our core beliefs are really those internal forces that can divert the way that we think or the way that we behave. And so as we look at what can influence our life script and the way that we approach things, we want to again consider our experiences, as I mentioned earlier. So as children, how did others respond to us? How did, the adults in our life, the significant adults in our life, shape us? What were we told about the world? Were we told that it was a safe or a dangerous place? What were we told about other people? Were we taught to not trust others, to have faith in others, to see the good in people, to be super cautious? So those are the types of things that we want to consider. And lastly, what were our observations? How did we observe the behavior of the significant adults around us growing up? And this is also something really interesting and important to think about, especially for us who might already have children, and how we shape their behaviors and their thoughts, and how this could influence their life script in the future. So something to think about again. I like it when you guys are given an opportunity to ponder on things. As you think about your self-awareness, reflect on the following questions. What is your life script? Remember, your script consists of the words and actions that tell you what to do or how to behave. How do you feel about your current script? Does it need to be rewritten? Do you feel like you need to make any adjustments? And what are your self-defeating behaviors? So that's really important. You got to think about how you are critical about yourself. The saying goes that we are our worst critics, which is true most of the time. So we also want to think about how we provide that feedback to ourselves. So that ends the lecture here for week 2. And I hope that, again, you think about the concepts that we talked about today, and think about these experiences that you've had as you answer the discussion prompt this week as well.